Heyo, everybody. And this time we're going to be doing something a little different. I wanted to do Cody Tells Ghost Stories, or no. Top 12. We're going to do top 12. Now, this is the top 12 true scary ghost stories. So, let's get into it. A couple of months ago, my friend's cousin, a single mother, bought a new cell phone. After a long day at work, she came home, placed her phone on the counter, and went to watch TV. Her son came to her and asked if he could play with her new phone. She told him not to call anyone or mess with the text messages, and he agreed. At around 11:20 p.m., she was drowsy, so she decided to tuck her son in and go to bed. She walked to his room and saw that he wasn't there. She then ran over to her room to find him sleeping in her bed with the phone in his hand. Relieved, she picked her phone back up from his hands to inspect it. Browsing through it, she noticed only minor changes such as a new background, banner, etc. But then she opened up her saved pictures. She began deleting the pictures he had taken until only one new picture remained. When she first saw it, she was in disbelief. It was her son sleeping in her bed, but the picture was taken by someone else above him, and it showed the left half of an elderly woman's face. Fabulous, right? I know. Sorry, I could not find a picture for this one, so let's get into it. My house was built in 1904. It is a single-family home, wood frame setting in a concrete block foundation. It has been living here for about 12 years. I have been, not it. Of all the weird things that my siblings and me have seen or heard in this house, this one event is my favorite. This happened to my brother. About 10 years ago, my brother and his best friends had started a garage band playing mostly Spanish rock. Alternative music, but in Spanish. His friends could only get together on Sunday afternoons. They would practice into the early evening, and they would usually call it quits by 8 p.m. This was the time I usually showed up and went to bed, 'cause I worked the graveyard shift. This happened in late fall, so the days were getting shorter. They had just finished a long session when the decision to head to someone else's house came about. My brother handed his car keys to his buddy so they could load up the equipment. Everyone had filed out of the basement, but the tricky part was that they needed to walk all the way to the back of the basement, up the stairs, through the kitchen doorway, down the hall, into the living room, and out of the front porch. Everyone outside sitting in my brother's truck waiting for him. My brother was walking up to the back stairs when he remembered that he had left his pancakes in a to-go container sitting on a speaker in the basement. He made the decision to go back. Now the basement is not clean. With full sight lines, there had been partitions, whatever, and the boiler that and main heating unit are right smacked in the middle. So after my brother walks back, he is about to retrieve his food container when out of the corner of his eyes he sees it. It is a shadowy figure right as it peripheral vision. This feeling of dread and uneasiness washed over my brother. We had been taught that if you are in the presence of a spirit or a ghost, and you felt a bad vibe, to say quick prayer or to cuss at him. My brother chose the latter. He basically told it to, hey, frick off. I don't have the time for this bad word. I'm not going to say it because I'm a nice person. My brother started to walk to the back of the basement and briskly up the stairs, closing doors and turning off lights. As he was walking out, the last light switch is on the opposite side of the front door. Luckily, the door was open and the light from the street lamp was flooding the living room with its amber light. My brother said he felt something on his back, but at no point did he turn around. As he flicked the last switch in the living room went dark, as did the rest of the house. As he stepped out, he pulled on the door, closing it behind him. Still holding his food container in one hand, he jogged down to the few porch steps. He walked towards the front gate. Our house resides far from the main street, essentially having a large front yard but no rear garage. As he closed the gap between himself and his friend Landon truck, he kind of smiled and thought things over in his head, mad at himself for spooking out when there was no reason. This is a long one, my God. I might not get all 12. He climbed into the driver's side of the truck, putting on his seatbelt and getting ready to pull out of the parking spot directly in front of the house. When one of his friends asked, "Hey, wait, what about your brother? Isn't he coming with us?" My brother answered, "What do you mean? He went to work earlier tonight. He is already gone. Do you see his car anywhere?" The next question they asked, "So then, who was walking behind you when you were leaving the house?" Oh, that was tearing my eyes up. Whoa. One night when I was maybe 10 to 12, I had troubles falling asleep. My bedroom was the entire top floor of our house, but my bed had such being on the left side of the storage closets and a play area being on the right. I was laying in bed when I heard a noise from the other side of the room and seeing a rocking horse begin to rock. It was sitting just outside one of the storage closet doors. It proceeded to rock its way halfway across the room and stopped dead under the ceiling light. At this point I was freaking out and just buried my head under my blankets and never peeked out again until morning. It was all confirmed to not be a dream, as the rocking horse was still in the middle of my room when I woke up. Furthermore, I got a stern reprimand from my parents for being up out of my bed playing with my toys well past my bedtime. Their bedroom was directly below the storage closet play area, and had heard the creaking of the rocking horse shuffling around across my room. Ugh. Sorry, don't have another picture for this one. I'll have to make a second video of part 2, obviously, because I don't have enough time for this. My older sister has a ghost that followed her around for years. I lived with her once for about 3 months, and so much weird stuff happened at that time. All my sister would say to me when I mentioned it was that her ghost didn't like me being there. Things like going to bed were with everything locked up and switched off, and waking up in the morning with the back door open, lights on, and the kettle switched on. One night my sister and I were getting ready to go out, and I asked to borrow her liquid foundation. I used it and put it back where she kept her makeup. 10 minutes later, she's asking me for it, and it was nowhere to be seen. She accused me for taking it and made me buy her a new one and refused to listen to my side of the story. About a year or so later, when she was packing to move to her new house, she found the makeup in the shoebox with some old letters. The shoebox was in a zipped up suitcase that was underneath her bed. But probably the most scared I ever felt was one afternoon when I was the only one in the house, which never happened as four other people lived there. I'd arrived home from work and headed straight to my bathroom. All the doors, windows, etc. were closed. I was standing in the bathroom and started squeezing a pimple on my chin, but a female voice in the hall said, "Stop picking your zits." It was loud enough and sounded real enough at the time I thought it was my sister, so I laughed, told her to frick off, and asked what she was doing for dinner. No answer. I stuck my head out of the hall. No one there. I searched the house top to bottom, and there was no one home. I sat out on the porch until someone else got home because I didn't want to be in there alone. This is a story I do not often tell. I promise sincerely that has scared me for life, and although I have looked into psychological explanations for what I heard and natural explanations for what occurred, they remain unsatisfactory. When I was a child, I was scared of the dark. I swore to my mother I heard voices in it. They were not evil, but they were not familiar, and so they scared me. It was not uncommon in the middle of the night for me to wake up and hear whispers, as I would call them when asking my mom. She figured they were just bumps in the night, and typical kid's nightmare material. I tried often to explain to her that it was more than that they sounded different from one another the way people's voices do. On some nights I would get so scared that these whispers that I would sleep in my mom's bed with her. It was an added bonus that the bathroom was directly outside of her bedroom door for my late night tinkles. I should add at this point that we were walking out of the hall to go to the bathroom. You look directly down the stairs that would lead you to the living room on the first floor. On one such night around Christmas, I awoke and felt that I need to relieve myself. I walked out of her door and distinctly heard a phrase, "Look," and to my astonishment a red light, almost like a spotlight, would cast upon the wall at the very bottom of the stairs. The light had no other source, it was but itself, and was transfixed by it. Hope you liked this video. Don't forget to subscribe for more content. Yeah, bye. Whoop.
Peace off.